My buddy Jim went into a McDonald's, and this is an example of seeing yourself through the eyes of another, because you want to look at that perspective. He goes into a McDonald's, and they have a sale, 2 Big Macs for $1. This is great. He gets his Big Macs, it's on the tray, tosses his keys on the tray, and he had to go to the men's room. He comes back, and they're sitting in the booth. There's a guy eating one of the 2 Big Macs on a tray, and my buddy is like, what the heck? You know, he doesn't say anything. He slides in, reaches across, pulls the tray, takes the other Big Macs. They're looking at each other. They don't say a word. The guy who started first, finishes first, leaves. And my buddy goes, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is one for the books. I've never experienced anything like this. I can't wait to go home and tell my wife and tell people about this. And he finishes and he gets up to leave and no keys. Oh my goodness, did this guy take my keys? What's going on? He looks on the floor, looks on the seats, look nowhere. Looks on the booth over here, no keys. Looks on the booth over here. Thank goodness, there were his keys, sitting on a tray between 2 Big Macs. So how about going in for some Big Macs and look at yourself as others see you? You know, I look at myself as others see me, you know, tall guy, you know, full head of hair, you know. You know, there's reality here. No, seriously. You want to be able to step outside, to let go, let down the defenses, because no one else is in the room. You don't have to impress anyone except yourself. And you have, you know, I say to people, they say, oh, I went to hear this motivational speaker. I'm going to tell you my view on that. If that worked, if motivational speaking worked, we'd all be driving Ferraris. It's great in the short term, but it doesn't move the needle. It doesn't change anything. Oh, I got this great revelation. Really? Ask people who got these great revelations, and I'm not saying anything against people like Tony Robbins and self-help gurus and all the people who are out there, and they make a big difference in people's lives. But you're not those people. These are not people who are CEOs and run their own business and are responsible for your own destiny and carve your own path. And I'm not trying to be rude or critical of anyone. Please don't take it that way. I'm trying to give you a perspective only without any disrespect to anyone. You guys and women, you determine your own destiny. So do you need motivational speakers to help you? Well, the motivation you have comes from inside. Your knowledge and experience comes from inside. Not that you don't learn things from other people and consultants and books. That's great. But it's what you do with it. It's how you respond to it. You ask a question, and it depends on how honest you are with your answer. Let me give you an example. Well, let me give you a couple of examples. I'm going to give you a few that I wrote down here. How many of you have father-in-laws and mother-in-laws? You get along with them? Anybody not get along with them? Are they difficult? Are they critical of you? It's a stereotype. But instead of saying they are difficult or saying, why are they difficult? And then start to answer it and go down that rabbit hole, ask the question, is my in-law difficult? And if you answer yes, then why? And start it from that perspective. Instead of saying, oh, they're difficult, or I have a problem with them. These are preconceptions. Now you're in a loop. But then if you ask yourself, are they really difficult? Maybe you say, you know what, they're really not difficult, it's me. I'm always defensive when I'm around them, and that sets them off, and it sets the mood, and they know it from the minute I walk in the room. You know, I've had dozens and dozens of partnerships in my career. I'm not going to tell you every one of them were stellar. And, you know, the first thing I do is say, okay, what did I do wrong? I have to look at myself. I don't care about the other side. Did I screw this up? Did I make a wrong call? Did I do something I wasn't aware of? Sometimes I get so passionate about something, I'll tell someone something, and I'm so aggressive in what I'm saying to them, and I've known Brian for years trying to help him, and sometimes I get, you know, because I'm frustrated, because I go, you got to do this, you know, and so I think, oh, you know, what did he see in that? Okay, so a man who needed a white jacket tied in the back. Okay, I get that a lot, but the point is, you have to look in that mirror. You have to carry that mirror with you at all times, and you have to be willing to look at it and question it. We talked about children. Children's minds are empty, and basically, they will believe what you tell them. Now, yes, you could be very cruel and have some fun with this, but the fact is that they're a sponge, they're a vacuum. We shut that valve off as we became adults. We stopped listening to things, stopped wondering, you give a kid a piece of cardboard with aluminum foil on it, and he makes a sword, and he's the Three Musketeers, or he's a Jedi Knight, because his mind is open to that. We wouldn't do that anymore. We've lost that. Well, those were the formative years that put you where you are today, and what I'm saying to you is go back to them, because you missed something. You missed a lot of opportunities. And if you start taking that sword with the aluminum foil on it and reenacting things figuratively, it's going to change and redevelop some of your wiring. And you need to do that. You need to go back to that. Here's one for you. How many of you have a power drill? Okay, everybody has power. Good. How many times, how much time collectively do you think you use that drill every year? 24 minutes a year is the average. That's nationwide, including carpenters. Now, if you're an innovator, what do you do with that? You use the drill 10 to 20 minutes a year, yet you all went out and bought a $100 drill. Okay? Some of you bought a $200 drill, some of you bought $5, $20 drills, whatever. Okay? So let's innovate that right now. Let's redesign that model right now. Rent a drill, good, that's good. Let's just talk about for a minute, rent a drill. How is that different from I own a car, I have a garage, I put gas in it, maintenance, insurance, make my payments, versus you take an Uber. We both drive to the same place, and we both get there at the same time. You just rented it instead. Or some people just rent cars, period. So there are variations on all of this. So if we all own power drills, the power drill companies are great. But if you could say, you know what, I'm going to do that project, and I'm going to go over to Lowe's, Home Depot, and for $10 I can rent the power tools I need for the day. You'd say, oh great, I need to rent them, and I have a 2-day project. Would you all spend $20 to rent a few tools for the day? I'm just making up the numbers. And so you think of it from Home Depot's point of view, and they say, wow, I'm taking these 3, 4 tools that we manufactured that cost me almost nothing, and I'm getting $10 a day, or $15 or $20 a day, whatever the number is. Is Home Depot and Lowe's going to make a lot of money on that? Of course they are. They're going to make a fortune on that, because a drill that might have cost, let's say 4 tools that might have cost $100 to manufacture are now getting $10 a day, 7 days a week. They're making $70 a week on this. Now, I'm just picking $10 as a simple number. It would probably be $20 or $25, which makes the profit even more. And I'm making this up in this room. I've never thought of this before. I'm just taking it because someone told me at a conversation that the average drill is used 24 minutes a year. So would this be a great business for Home Depot and Lowe's? You have a centralized location. They can buy all the other stuff they need. And now you don't need to have all these tools on your shelves in a shop you'll never use. So now you make it easy. So a DIY section, build your own stuff, buy your stuff here. Here's all your tools you need. How about if I say, here are the tools you need? You don't even have to guess. What do you want to build? Oh, here's the parts you need, DIY. How many of you would now say that could be a business? Realistically, show of hands, how many think that's a real business?
A lot of parts stores do
right.
it now.
I'm sorry?
A lot of parts stores do it now.
Yeah. How many of you feel that's a terrible business if you owned Home Depot and Lowe's? You know, the people who own hotels thought Airbnb was the worst decision in the world. They don't think that anymore. It should have been the taxi companies who came out with Uber. But again, they buy into their own beliefs that this is the way people will use rented vehicles or ride shares. And that's a yellow cab. And the price of a medallion, which is basically a license to operate a cab in New York, used to be $1 million. Then it went down to $600,000. Last count, it was down to about $200,000, someone told me, and it's diminishing even more. Nobody's buying them. Do you know how Kalanick started Uber? He and his friend came out of a restaurant in New York City, pouring rain, couldn't get a cab. And he said, there've got to be people in cars who could, if they knew, would just give me a lift. And Uber was born. So it's, if you're living in your own world and your head is down, you're not gonna be aware of the situation around you. Bye.